feedback, you mute the YouTube, or you can close the YouTube one out after, right? I don't think that works. I think it actually stops the process, but mute the YouTube. There we go. Stop that.
How are you doing this, Robin? Now that you're back from all your festivities?
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
pictures are great.
Yeah, it was great.
Now, is this your daughter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. Weather didn't quite come great, but it
They say,
stopped raining in town,
they
so.
say it is good luck to, rain on your way, Nick.
I think, yeah, it's the good stuff.
Yeah, it's on, it's on Jesse's. I didn't post everything, but it's on her. She's got website
Both of these mine.
of pictures.
They are.
Yes.
What is the agenda? You don't need one of those. You don't need one.
You
I'll
guys
take the
have
extra.
one?
I read that. Thank you. The, okay, Robin, I just except for you.
All right.
I thought you were on the corner.
I was
I
going,
know,
yeah.
they said Robin.
I know. They're going by Joe. Okay,
I don't care what you tell me.
yeah.
And if we are set, if you're ready, I'm gonna call the meeting. We're a little behind schedule. We'll call the meeting at 6:11. And we'll start by going over October 16th, planning board minutes. All right, I will make a motion to pass the meeting minutes of October 16th.
Wait, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Do we wanna update the date on when the site visit and public hearing?
It'll be updated in today's meeting minutes,
Okay.
because
Thank you.
that was what was, I know, I debated the same thing, because I didn't do them until this afternoon. I
Okay,
was like, you know what, that's what we actually voted at that particular meeting.
perfect, thank you.
Did we have a second?
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
On to today's agenda. I'm gonna start with. We received a building permit. I was actually in the process of looking up the map for Joey Strout on 45 Main Street, and it looks like it's to do an addition to an existing garage structure. The only thing is that the house already has a variance because it sits close to the property line.
Mm-hmm.
This structure doesn't go beyond the house, but it puts it 2 feet within the property line of the adjacent. The adjacent property. I just want to pull up map so we can take a look at it. Say 45 Main Street. Canton.
So is that why it came to us rather than just being approved by the code enforcement officer, because we don't typically approve building permits?
It looks like it came to us because there may need to be a variance.
Because that's what Aaron said.
And building permit application has our required signature on it
Okay,
and the code enforcement officer.
So where's his diagram that he submits with his permit?
That,
So are we 23, 30 feet setbacks, right? Typically
20 feet
20
to
feet.
a property line, 30 feet from roads. And make sure this is the right house.
So there's a 36 by 24 garage, it's already there. And he's adding another 14 feet to that.
Yeah, this is here. Go back to a top-down view.
How far is he from the road? Because
It's behind the house.
you gotta teach people how to spell.
So I can't zoom in anymore. But this is the house. There's the driveway, this is the garage. And looking at it, he wants to do an extension like this way, which still is not beyond the house. The house is very close to the property line already. But the distance from the property line to the edge is gonna be 18 feet as opposed to 20. But the house is closer to that property line than this is existing.
Well, when the Hedge family asked for something very similar to this, they had to go to the appeals board for
Right.
variance.
But the one that the Hatch family did, it was coming close to the road. This isn't the guy's backyard. So I don't
I
know.
mean, they were building a garage that didn't go past their current house. Right, so if the driveway,
Into the road though, towards the road. Wasn't it?
no, their current house corner was here.
Okay.
And originally they were like 3 inches past the house, right? After discussion, they talked to their builder, they could build it back, so it never came past the current house,
To the road.
right? But the
Yeah.
garage wasn't extending any further into the road than the current house. So like this is saying, hey, we're not gonna extend past the current house, which is already
Right.
out of compliance.
So the addition they're proposing, that's existing house, does it?
It does not.
Do we know whose property this is and are they okay with that? Getting a,
Thank you, I was gonna ask that question. Thank you. If the neighbors don't have a problem with it, then
well, the Hatches neighbors all signed a thing that said they didn't care. And the appeals board would not give them a variance.
that's towards the road though, right?
Not a road, but a driveway. Well, it was a road, I guess, but it didn't go past the existing house. And it's a non-conforming property, that's the problem, right? But they lost. 1,000. If you bought all of
So was
the
it
before
40?
COVID hit. And then didn't realize they needed the permit, and that did, they denied them. So they had to restock all that stuff, he lost 40,000. It's a huge. And it felt like a not good decision.
45. What's his last name? Stroud? Doors.
That's not,
You can look it up.
that's not the auto people.
I'm trying to find the map lot to,
Yeah, but if I went by the street, it's 45. It's under Joseph Barboni,
Barbioni,
yeah,
Oh.
not
Stroud,
Stroud.
is he actually the property owner?
well, that's a good question.
That's, I don't know.
We
That's
need to
what,
determine if he's the property owner or not.
Now, it doesn't say, sometimes a builder will file the permit application on behalf of the property owner, but you still have to have the property owner's information here. So he's signed as both property owner and applicant. If there's.
yeah, so he's trying to go. That's based off of this, that looks like unless I'm on the wrong property. That's 45 Main Street. And he wants to extend that way towards,
Oh, I see, okay.
so it'll make the garage wider.
Mm,
And it's a whole other bay, right? 14 feet should be another bay.
yeah,
And
36 feet deep, that's a pretty
That's-
deep barn.
that's,
where the,
is that place right there? I believe so, 51.
Is Mr. Strout the guy that did your remodeling?
Pardon?
Is Mr. Strout the guy that did your remodeling?
Yeah,
This and that builders? Yeah, they've got, I think this and that builders is their
yeah,
sign up front.
51 Main Street, Wendy Murphy.
yeah.
Oh, I know. Rodney. I would certainly get a letter from her that would say she either is or isn't okay with that. I mean, existing house is probably grandfathered because at the time the
Yeah.
lots were a lot smaller.
Right.
I'd say there's already a variance for the house.
Right.
The variance was already granted for the house.
So the house or the garage? I mean, the house is already not,
the house is already.
right, because it's grandfathered before whenever they,
So.
so that's not really a
Right, that's
variance.
really old house.
Yeah, that's not really a variance they were given, they were just,
It was there.
Yeah.
already. Like our king. And so,
that's right. That's where there's arguments that it's always been that way. Carry some weight.
so we're going to. Who was that neighbor?
Wendy Murphy?
And ask Wendy Murphy.
I don't know who she is.
I do too.
Just send a letter that this is okay.
Those lots even don't even follow our housing and minimum lot
No,
size.
because they're so old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a half acre.
Let me text her. See what you can do.
The property owner's name should also be on here somewhere, right?
Oh, he's saying it's both. He signed it as property owner and
Right.
developer, so he's saying he owns the
But
property.
according to the map lot, that's not right.
Yeah, it shows that it's Joseph,
It's his stepdad. This is-
current owner since 2021. Oh, it is.
Yeah, and I only know that because they did my bathroom.
Okay.
So we think this is fine then.
I think we need to get clarification on who owns the property.
That's what, because it
Yeah.
didn't sound like it was a Joey Stout when you said before. Who was
No, it's Joseph
it?
Barbioni.
Maybe the next door neighbor knows who actually owns the property.
Oh, the tax records.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what you're
that's
looking at.
what we're looking at is the
Hmm.
tax records.
Oh,
So it's strange that it should be Joseph Barbioni on here. And then the applicant is Joey Strauss. I think.
sounds a little hinky.
So we should ask.
He's got a 2 acre lot. It's too bad he couldn't put it on the other side of the garage, but he'd have to bring in a bunch of fill.
It's a big hill, the big hill.
Yeah.
Yeah. How far back does that lot go? Can we put it straight to the back?
The addition,
Mhm.
it goes to the back of the garage.
Right, no, but could the addition be behind the?
Oh, on the back of it. I don't know.
All right.
Hi. So I say we need to get. You said you know the neighbor.
I just texted her.
Okay,
Let's see what she says.
all right, and then, we just gotta figure out who owns the property. And if that's the person who owns the property is the one that needs to be listed on this.
Actually, When you're asking someone for a letter like this, is email good enough, or do they physically need to?
If it's
sign
email, I
it?
print them out and attach them to the meeting minutes, so they're a matter of public record.
Uh,
Right.
Okay, I made those notations.
Okay. One other thing I want to add to today's agenda, and let me find it here. I have not had a chance to do it. But I got an email from Kathy from Boone Burgess. Talking about, is that the right name?
Yes.
Okay, talking about the solar project that may be going in J, that they're encroaching onto the town line.
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't call them.
no,
No.
he is out to lunch.
Okay.
The CEO has gone to the head or owner of the, I still say the IP mill, the paper mill.
Okay,
And the mill has approached solar companies about putting it in up there, but only on the J property. Cause he knows Canton has an ordinance and
Right.
we have a moratorium that he's told, don't touch Canton, but cause J has no ordinance.
right,
But he hasn't had any takers at all yet.
okay,
There were,
Okay, so why did Brian say at the last meeting that definitely they were on Canton property?
because there are, they honest, 3 selectmen have gone and looked at it,
Mhm.
not altogether. It definitely, it looks like they were guardrail posts, but they're yay high off the ground. They're kind of every which way of willy whacker, and my personal opinion, someone's gonna put a hand on stilts.
It's very postage stamp cleared around
Yeah.
for it. Well, I
Okay.
got.
Yeah.
I think I still have
Right.
it. I mean, from what we've seen when they did behind the villa, all the land cleared
Yeah.
anywhere around.
Yeah.
This is not happening.
Okay.
All of him.
He's just,
Okay.
he's just being the. Don't know any other way of saying that.
Oh, I'm like, what's that picture?
Well, he put it on back in Friday.
Oh, here it is.
okay. Can you send that to me?
Yeah. I mean, they're like this tall and as
Yeah.
we've
Well,
seen.
he said it will just attach it to the meeting minutes. That'd be great. Send it on over. I also saw the J CEO at a meeting yesterday, because she's the one I talked to a few weeks ago about this, and she said, as far as she knew, nothing was happening, but they don't have an ordinance, so they're not required to notify her, but she said, as far as she still knows, nothing is happening.
And that's what the J Mill guy said. He has no companies lined up, nothing, so.
Okay. All right.
Oh, I know, I didn't. Oh, I have Dan in there. Hey.
I'm just going to put in the minutes again, this Pinellas solar review and site visit was moved to November 20th. Today's the 6th, 14th, 20th.
Yep.
To allow for 14 days notice. I think he thought originally it was 10 days and he went to put everything in the mail and was like, oh, if it has to be 15 days, I'm gonna be like 1 day short. So I was like, just move it.
I just sent it to everybody and it just says Alden Hill, so
Text or email?
Huh?
Text or email?
email.
Okay. Hey, there it is.
Well, that way it's more. Prominent.
At this rate, in 2 weeks, you might have to bring your boots because it might be snowing.
It's a thought.
Did you not see it flurry today?
Yes, I
The kid,
did.
the first graders are at recess, they came in just.
Yeah, I wonder if someone is doing like a hunting shack,
Yeah,
an elevated hunting shack. out
which
there.
I'm assuming the public property owners do not know about.
But you look at them and there's four each side and they're just right.
Yeah,
To,
Yeah, they're not even straight, like that's not,
They're just
okay,
yeah,
janky.
yeah.
they're
So
just, somebody does a hole and set them in.
Yeah.
Okay,
Quite a
So I-
simple plan there.
Poor guy in the trees.
Yeah,
in the trees.
Yeah, he does it.
That's perfect. That's great.
but he's made a lot of public noise that there's a solar plant going in on Canton property and that's caused a brouhaha.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's.
and the thing was, the way he talked, it was like it was so visible from the road.
We drove by it twice.
Okay,
So then I had to get on Facebook and see the directions to.
so Mr. Barrett from the Tonella Solar Project reached out to ask 2 questions this week. One was, who assigned, an actual address to that property, because right now it's just a lot number, and that's the road commissioner.
Yeah.
So we'll let Andy know when he's done with family business, not urgent. The other question I sent to Aaron, I didn't get an answer from him yet. I don't believe they need a separate building permit. Once they're fully permitted, they don't need a separate building permit for that. Because I don't think we did
Should've.
that with the other one, because once they're set to go, they're set to go.
Yeah.
But I just asked him for confirmation. I did not hear back, but
yeah, they shouldn't need anything.
okay. Cool. So if we go back to the old business for 2 seconds, just to let Daniel and Robin and stuff know, we delivered the sewer ordinance to the select board. It's on hold at the select board level. We delivered the cemetery ordinance, that's on hold at the select board level. Robin, the other Robin, said she had some information that might be useful to add into the cemetery ordinance, so we will hopefully get that in the next week or so. Robin M.
Going to.
Information to do that is, so as soon as we get that, we'll add that. I sent the updated solar ordinance last week, but I realized it didn't go. It was I was on a hotel Wi-Fi system and I had a whole bunch of work emails that my computer says sent, they are not sent. So
Sweet.
when I discovered that, I went back and looked, I'm like, oh, the solar ordinance was one of those, so I will find it and resend it this week. So that will come out this week. We made a lot of changes last week to the last meeting to the cluster housing ordinance. I do have that typed up. We can put that on the screen if we want to go through that. But it was, one of the things we said was, let's put all of the application processes that we have in our subdivision ordinance into the cluster housing ordinance. That added like 3 pages to it, because there's a lot of process questions in there. I can send that out separately if you guys want to read it over in the next 2 weeks and we can talk about
Yes,
it
please.
at the next meeting.
Yes, please.
Okay, cool. Because it was, now it's, changed all the numbering and changed all the formatting, changed everything to add that big of a section in there. But it's not. in there.
Send PDF, don't forget.
What's
I mean, I can look at Word, but you don't have Word, right?
I have access to it, but yeah, I can look at it either way.
Well, I know we took some of the old ordinances that only existed in PDF, and when we converted them, they just come out gibberish and some of it.
Yeah,
right.
So,
Quite funny.
Well, if you can look
I
at
can
it,
send everything in
if you
PDF.
can look at it in Word, then okay.
I can
I
send
thought somebody had.
anything you
Can
want.
add.
Daniel, can you see stuff in Word or do you prefer it in PDF?
Probably PDF.
All right,
It won't have all those,
little weird conversion things in there.
yeah.
All right, so we send solar and send cluster housing. And then do you prefer PDF?
Yes.
You can open this, okay. All right, there you go. The planning board ordinance is what we were gonna talk about today. Because we don't have anything in there about having this backup, a reserve person, so we want to make sure that we had the right language in there and how best to engage with that person. If we want to open it up, I can put it on the screen if we want to look at it all together.
Yeah, we gotta pull. That one out.
It was last updated in 2020. This morning, I had my computer off the docking station yesterday, and I could not figure out why I could not get it to project on the big screen. I'm like, I'm rebooting it, doing all the stuff. I'm like, oh, it's not plugged in.
Oh,
Then it's like- All right. Where's the white?
Something's on that.
Where's the white?
Oh, better.
That's it.
That's the,
That's the
yeah,
ATM.
yeah. You can turn the heat up if you like, I won't complain.
I thought the door was open, all of a sudden I felt kind of dry.
Spent all day up on a roof, so this is.
Oh, you're good, man. There was white caps on the lake today. It was,
Yes, there
it was
was.
pretty cool.
My room at school has been on a week. So I won't freeze anything.
Is it coming? I think it's warming
Yeah,
up.
I can
It's
see
warming up. The words are getting there. You guys might want to just move to the side of the
Yeah.
table. If it's a little bit easier for you to see, I'll make this a little bigger as well.
Stevie.
That's right. Those cathode ray tubes got to warm up, man. I remember those days.
I wish they were like dimming half the lights.
We can do that. Oh, you can't.
No.
We can
we're
sit
all
in the dark.
done.
We don't care.
Yeah.
Sit in the dark.
It should be-
So happy when you
it
hear
should be
the door.
bags. Zooms up. She's getting really big.
Go too fast.
Coming in hot. So.
I am gonna,
They're making,
Quiet.
they're making weird expressions.
You should see what we're doing.
I see everything. All right, so this one perhaps, we may want to reorder some of this, but maybe not. So this has repeals and establishment, that's all under the statutes, basically. The earlier version was 2017, this is a 2021 was when it was updated last. So just FYI. So they officially, I mean, our language in our ordinance is not consistent at all, but this basically says, hey, we are amending an ordinance adopted in 2017 at the town meeting in 2021. What our lawyer said to us last time was just, you can take out that section and just at the bottom of here, you can say revisions, right?
Yeah,
Like this revision was 6/21.
I like that.
Yeah, and you can put a previous one that said, you know.
Can we also put what was revised, like section 8 or sometimes we used to put full document revision if there were lots of changes.
Right,
If there were little changes, then we would put a date and.
okay. I'll put that as a question mark until we see what we're doing.
Is it state statute that has to be an ordinance, can it just be a policy?
I will find out, but because planning board, appeals board and select board are the only three that are mandated by state.
Right, so that's what I'm saying, I don't know whether it has to be an ordinance or whether
Yeah,
you can do
I
a
don't know.
policy, because it'd be
Is there
a
a,
lot.
is there a
easier
select
than
board
that.
ordinance?
Not that I'm aware of, but that does not mean I'm correct. It'd be a lot easier function wise if it was a policy,
Yeah,
then it wouldn't have to
maybe.
wait to the town meeting.
So this is our. Hold on, let me just. Add the track changes first, because then it'll track all those. All right, so we're taking that piece out. All right. So elections, elected by vote of the people. As terms expire not to exceed 5 members shall be sworn in by the moderator, open town meeting, or by the clerk, other person authorized to administer oaths. Shall consist of 5 members, so here do we want to say? And one. What are we calling you, a reserve
Alternate,
alternate?
Spare.
an error is there. I'm glad you right now, sorry.
I know, it's past 6 o'clock. You never told it's gonna come out of my mouth either.
So I think we also originally had a different term, so when we changed it 4 years ago, we changed it to a 3-year term because nobody wanted to commit to more than 3 years on the board. I think it had 5-year term or.
Good.
So that was the change in the last time. 3 years, so if there is not enough, people don't re-up on the voting process, then the select board, municipal officer is still appointed person, the unexpired position. A vacancy shall occur upon resignation of the, or death of a member, when a member ceases to be a registered voter of Canton. Or Canton resident, or when a member fails to attend any 4 consecutive regular meetings, so don't skip out on us. Not good. Fails to attend a minimum of 75% of all meetings, regular, special, emergency within a period of 12 months. Exception of planned absences with pre-approval. So this gives you a lot of leeway. You know, you have a family crisis out of state, you're gonna be gone for 3 meetings. That's fine, you're pre-approved, no big deal. If we get a vacancy, we go to the municipal officers, let them know so they can start thinking about appointing people. Do we want to say, well, so organizational rules?
Wait, can you just go back up? Just
Sorry.
no persons serving on the site for, okay, thank you.
Yeah, that was another thing that got changed the last time, because first, and originally they had, you couldn't have like spouses. You couldn't be on both boards, and then we're like, we're a small town, why not? You know, why couldn't you? But you can't do both. Even though Robin's on every committee in town, she just cannot be on both the planning board and the select board.
Cannot be on the school board and a lot more either.
So once we have a full quorum, which we should re-elect chair, vice chair, and secretary. You can change those at any time.
Who's vice chair?
Dawn,
Okay,
currently. Quorum should be 3 members. I'm not gonna read these all out loud to you, you can read them yourself. What's that? I'm gonna read. Any changes that you want to do here?
Question, if one of the planning board people, decide that they want to leave, why can't the alternate step up?
You can, that's exactly what we're talking about.
Okay.
So these are just getting, people haven't seen this, so they're just getting familiar with what the current rules are, and then we're gonna figure out how we want to change them to include the alternate. So hold on.
So is it still that if you have a spouse on the select board, you cannot be on the planning board?
No, that is not the rules anymore.
I could. Go ahead, I don't remember.
No, that's exactly what we took out.
Can't be on the planning board, right?
Right, but I mean,
As
it had been
spouse.
a spouse. You couldn't have a husband and wife on planning and select.
Like,
But that's what got taken out 4 years ago.
Yep.
It got removed. So do you want, back in this top section, a vacancy shall occur, maybe we want to put something in here. Yeah. Maybe at the next available meeting.
The next available select or plan.
Yeah, probably select board.
and I'm looking up some of the planning board ordinances online, and a lot of them do have an alternate.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean they're full, but they have. That's their wish list.
You've already been sworn in. Have you already been sworn in as an alternate? Okay.
Sorry, I swear.
Yeah, Kathy did.
Let's see, maybe that extends. Yeah, the use of alternates.
Change that to that. Okay, well, you
Just give me a
can't
second.
take away from what
I know, give me a minute. I hate group writing with a
I
passion.
know.
I facilitate meetings all the time and they say, oh, we're gonna facilitate group writing. I'm like, cut me out.
Yeah.
I would slit my throat first. Planning board, it isn't gonna be city alternate. I mean, as long as you're still playing.
Okay, yeah, that's what.
So I Googled. And a spouse of a select person may serve on the planning board provided there's no conflict of interest on whatever. Planning board's working on.
Right, that's why
They
we changed,
cannot be on the Board of Appeals.
that's why we changed it 4 years
Yeah.
ago. Yeah. Okay. So if we fill that spot with the alternate, we'll try to find a new alternate.
Yeah.
I feel like you should have a Scarlet A.
One of many.
So if we don't have a quorum for a meeting, can she be called in?
Yes,
Okay,
So if you.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask, but this is just addressing the vacancy section, right?
well, so let's
Like,
talk
so-
about that.
Let's talk about that. So
Yeah.
let's say Dawn is gonna be out for a while because of her surgery.
Yeah,
Then
Yeah.
Liz
Yes.
should be,
yes, and she should be sitting and voting.
I agree,
And
but that doesn't go under the vacancy section.
No, under
That's
organization.
probably under
I mean,
the
this-
organization section or something.
So is it if you're gonna be out for more than one meeting, for any meeting, how do we wanna do that?
First meeting.
What's my 2 cents? It would make more sense if you had 5 up there, if you had to vote. Cause you're, with 4 people, you're running a 10-seat split vote.
I mean, like, Dawn,
What are you doing? That's all 9 to us, what else I do?
like, Dawn knew she could, was not gonna be here tonight because of her surgery. Then to me automatically Lynn should be.
Or when I was in Illinois.
Yes.
by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, last meeting,
That wander off in the woods, you know.
So how come so if one of the select board meetings, you guys have 5 members,
Yeah, you need alternates.
but.
You need alternates.
Oh.
Cause we've been to several meetings where there's no quorum, no quorum, we can't conduct business, we need an alternate.
But there were 4 people there, but they couldn't vote on something because they didn't have a quorum.
Probably because there was, no, the one time I'm thinking of,
Is that
Was
maybe
just-
that wasn't that?
no,
You weren't there and.
Sean wasn't, yeah.
because what came up to be discussed was a, Albany,
Oh, that,
adjustment thing on taxes.
on abatement,
I like
Yes,
it.
it was for Mac Ray's property, so Christine had to
Well,
recuse
yeah,
herself.
yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
If it had been your
Yeah.
problem, we could have done.
Okay. I get it.
I don't know if it belongs at the top there, but I like it.
I wasn't there, so I didn't know.
The causes for disqualification are there, or people recuse themselves if there's a conflict of interest.
Do we want to put that up there? Did you say we have that in there?
Yeah, it's in there. So what's now item C? If you have a conflict of interest sufficient to disqualify a member from voting, it shall be decided by a majority of the members present. If any question of whether there's a conflict of interest, the board votes and decides. you can't sit on, on this one or whatever.
Which is the same as Sean does not speak on water district, the lease or anything.
I was gonna say, like, when you were working
Yeah.
on your,
Right, but all this is saying is, if you don't voluntarily recuse yourself, which we both did,
Yeah,
the board can choose to tell you, you can't vote on this because you have a conflict of interest.
I was in that train that we just did.
We have to have one regular meeting of the planning board each calendar month.
Can we move that new section that we added? A, can we put it under F there? It makes more sense there. You're not gonna have a quorum unless you have 3 members.
Absolutely. Love to watch how this works. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually one of our shorter ordinances. Let me make that a capital. This is basically what we do,
Mhm.
right? We update, and all of these ordinances are considered land use ordinances. And we've looked at some towns have one giant land use ordinance. It's like 80 pages long. And it's got chapter for shoreline zoning, a chapter for this, a chapter for that, but it's all one mega thing.
Are there checklists already for all of the ordinances that we need to permit?
There is, I will find it, Brad Sika, who was on the board before, went through and said, here's, for each of our ordinances, here's the ones that need applications.
Mhm.
Here's the ones that need like permits. You can find that checklist. I don't know if the town office has that, but we can make sure that it's out there.
we might need to look at Title 30 MRSA, Section 2055. That I believe has been repealed.
We don't have that in here at all.
Yeah, it was all the way down, scroll,
Variant.
yeah, at the very end there.
Stop,
There you go.
number 9.
We can take all that out for purposes immediately upon adoption. At the annual town meeting, first occurring following its adoption.
Okay,
Okay, I'll get the actual 2014 date, because I know we want to keep track of earlier revisions.
Mhm.
I don't think this is a full document revision
Nope,
necessarily.
it's
pretty simple.
revision to add. Alternate.
Yeah.
A lot of ours, we have the old date and then the revised date under it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Is there, as an alternate, is there anything else that you want to be said about your participation? No, okay, just checking. All right,
Or else being informed about meetings and stuff, in case you can see the Zoom.
yeah, I think that
Because
is,
it's tough to call her and blind.
Yeah, yeah.
She should be informed of changes and stuff.
yeah,
It does have to be an ordinance.
all right. Now we can- I don't know if it. We can certainly say the alternate
Should be informed.
will
of
be
meetings.
included in all correspondence. Okay. Cool. I know when I was sending out the other meeting minutes, I was like, where is her address? So now that we got you, you're good to go. All right. So we already said I'm gonna send out cluster housing. So you can take a look at it, but let me just take 2 seconds and run it through that really quickly with you, just. And I've got to go back and make the cluster house.
I'm just going back through the meeting minutes. What was happening with the cemetery ordinance again?
We took it to the plan, we took it to the select board, they put it on hold.
Okay, because Robin wanted to add some things, right?
Because I went to a conference and learned
Yeah.
about all kinds of new cemetery stuff.
So cluster housing. I will send you one that is the marked up copy and one that is the clean copy for reading.
Okay,
So this now has a lot more sections, and I have a quick question on this, because we took the language from the subdivision ordinance on the application process. My notes last week said, hey, move all that over into this ordinance that says you have to submit a preliminary plan, your a pre-notification that basically tells us, hey, somebody's gonna put in a cluster housing development. And has a general outline of what they're trying to do and a very loose plan, just it's a notice that it's coming kind of thing. And then they have to submit a preliminary application. The preliminary application lays out pretty much everything, like here's the roads, here's the site plan, here's what this is gonna look like, blah, blah, blah. And then we review the preliminary plan and say, hey, you're missing this, we're questioning this setback on this road over here, whatever. So we give a feedback to a developer. And then they come to us with a final plan. And then the final plan has to have, so many copies, big sizes, blah, 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 blah. And then we go through that one more time. And if we approve it, then it moves on to the next steps of whatever's doing. The cluster housing ordinance, the way it was originally written, basically said, hey, we're giving people notice that this is a new and interesting kind of development. It didn't have all those application processes in there. I think it might have just said, C subdivision plan. And so I didn't know if we wanted to do that again, we just keep it simple, or if we want to put all of those requirements in this ordinance so everything's in one place. Because, for example, these whole sections were not in the original plan. And let's take a 2-second look at what they are. And we may want to change the words here from subdivision to development. I don't know. It may or may not be a subdivision. You might not be subdividing lots. I'm assuming you would, but I don't know. This is why we have these discussions.
So for the cluster housing, there wasn't anything about road development originally?
There was a couple sentences on roads, but not basically, it was talked about how many roads you could have out into a main road.
Yeah.
But nothing about road standards, nothing about sewer standards, nothing about all the other stuff. I think you were assuming that it was because you're putting all these houses in close density, you're putting them on municipal water and sewer.
Right.
And so our subdivision ordinance still has the minimum lot size of 40,000 square feet. This ordinance is designed specifically to allow for closer density of houses.
Yeah.
In exchange for the open space and in exchange for being more efficient use of roads and municipal water and sewer.
Who takes care of like plowing? Is it part of like, it's
Right
not
now
like a
it's
gated
a-
community, but is it?
Right now, it says the cluster housing, the development or the housing development authority will take care of maintenance within that development.
Okay.
So we have the definitions up front. Some of these are new definitions. Right, so the overall density of cluster housing is twice what is in the housing and minimum lot size ordinance, with the remaining land to be open space. Right, adopted by home rule, blah, blah, blah. No person can construct a cluster housing development without first obtaining a permit from the planning board. So this is. This didn't change. right? You may allow subdivision development on reduced lot sizes in return for open space, or the board determines that benefit either loss of natural features, et cetera. So you have to submit a written application to the board for cluster development with these two sketch plans. One, and this is a question whether we want to do this. This is kind of burdensome, right? Two sketch plans will be submitted. One layout is a standard subdivision, the second is a cluster development, identifying the natural features. I only want to question that because the cost to do that, you're having a surveyor or a plan design person have to prepare two plans for you.
Why would you wanna have a subdivision
Yeah.
plan if you're planning on doing a cluster housing?
Well, because you're subdividing land. I mean, if you're putting new lots in, you're
I
subdividing. land.
understand that, but it's for.
Well, I think, yeah, so that's why I think you don't need both of these.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
but
I
this
think
is,
this was intended originally because cluster housing was new when this ordinance first went in. And people didn't understand it. So they said, show us what a traditional development looks like, show us what a
Right.
cluster housing, so we can see the difference.
Okay.
I don't know that was a long time ago. I don't know that we need that anymore.
I agree.
I was gonna say, that makes sense to me.
So can one person own the entire thing? And just have people living there?
You could have I hate to say a commune. You could, a developer could choose to own everything and manage the whole thing and never,
And not have different owners on everything?
that's a good question. That's I think a different,
Would that be similar to Whitney Brookside? Because it's owned
well,
by,
they're renting, right? They're not.
they're renting, yes, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
One outfit owns the whole complex
Right.
and individuals rent their unit.
Well, most times developers don't want to manage a long-term project necessarily, unless you're local, right? But, I think the design here is that people will buy individual lots and own individual lots. And then in the deed, when you buy your house or your lot or whatever you're buying, you would get, in the deed restrictions that you're part of this basically homeowners association and you're responsible for the maintenance of the open space. Like that's gonna be written right into your deed. And whether it's the developer that continues to maintain that and manage that, or whether a homeowners association,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
Whichever way the developer decides to go with that organization, that will be in the deeds.
Yeah.
Cause the town doesn't wanna do it. Oops. Each lot in the cluster subdivision meets the minimum lot size lot width required of this ordinance. And this is a question, and if not serviced by public sewer, an area is suitable for subsurface wastewater disposal, according to the current main plumbing code. So it doesn't specify in this paragraph how big you've got to have for sewer, or if you have a septic system on each of these little tiny lots, how big does that have to be? That doesn't say that here. It says it has to be compliant with the plumbing codes. But I think the intent is if somebody did put in something like this, you'd want it on municipal water and sewer, because you want more users on those services. So this was the question, right? This was in here before. Cluster development shall meet all requirements for a subdivision and the street ordinance and all other applicable town ordinances, except in lot size, which is defined in this ordinance. So you don't have to put all those requirements back in here again, or we could. That's a question mark, because it added a lot to it, but. And it put everything in one place. So if you're a developer, you don't have to go get this ordinance, the subdivision ordinance, the street ordinance, and look them all up separately, but. We could.
It sounds like by that, every single block that have its own septic system.
Oh, you could, it is saying potentially, if you can meet the septic requirements. You could do that, but the intent, when you go back to the intent, the very first paragraph is to condense houses so that you can be more efficient on the use of water and sewer.
It's weird to make a backtrack and say it has to meet the subdivision because all subdivisions have their own septic.
Well, they don't in the subdivision ordinance. You can have it, you could be on municipal water sewer, or you could be independent. It doesn't, either way.
This
Um,
isn't putting it that it's a requirement to be on municipal sewer, is it?
No, but they say the intent is to
Right,
try to do that.
but if someone wants to build this where the sewer doesn't go. Then what?
Then you have to meet current state municipal plumbing codes. For
Okay.
subsurface wastewater, so whatever that lot size is. I think it's like 1,000 square feet or something for a septic system, it doesn't have to be that big. But maybe it's bigger than that, and half of your lot, which is now 20,000 square feet, half of your
Right.
lot is gotta be set aside for,
For septic.
Right.
yeah, we don't want that, we don't have to. So this whole next piece has the, how do you calculate net residential acreage? And that's a formula that a developer would know how to use, but
Right.
it's all about. If we have, I'm just gonna say 10 acres, because it's a round number, right? So much of that is set aside for roads, so much of that is set aside for other things. It tells you how much of that you can use for your housing and how much has to be open space. And they have to show the calculations in the application. Certainly, if you have areas of the lot that are unsuitable for development, they don't count in that calculation. And they
Right.
define what those are. And that tells you how many lots you can put on a specific chunk of land based on this net land calculation. So this is the big difference, right? The 20,000 square feet, because our current housing and minimum lot size ordinance is 40,000 square feet. And an acre is like 44,000, so you're just about an acre. Same setbacks, 25 feet. If you're putting in the special development, they don't want more than 4 driveways coming out into a major road, the less is better. We don't have to worry about shore frontage perhaps in Canton, but you might. If it abuts a body of water, blah, 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 blah. Shoreline zoning requirements have their own setbacks that are allowed. So if you have, this is the whole thing, right? Availability of water adequate for domestic purposes, so you have to show wells. You can share wells if you need to, you can share septic systems if you need to. If water and sewer are not available. So if you actually have to put in your own septic tank system, you've got to set that up so that it's restricted, so you can't build over top of it. Just, you'd like to think it's common sense, but you never know, you never know. Utilities go undergrounds, blah, blah. So this is the whole dedication and maintenance of the open space that we talked about last time. This really didn't change. They'll show what that dedication of the open space is. Easements for public utilities can be permitted. For every 20,000 square foot lot, you've got a corresponding 20,000 square foot minimum open space. The developer can choose to establish one of 3 approaches to maintaining that. They either maintain control over time, document the uses and responsible for maintenance. They deed the open space and open management to a land trust with intended uses. Or you incorporate a neighborhood development association, specify the membership, create all the papers and covenants for that organization, and they agree to take on the responsibility for maintaining that. Developer can maintain control of that open space until 75% of the membership is involved in the neighborhood development association before you hand it over to that group. If the owners of the residential units in the development hold common title to that open space and are responsible jointly for maintaining it, that declaration describing that area to be held under the chapter 10 unit ownership has to be filed prior to the approval of the final plan. So you have to know how that's going to work.
If someone wanted to move into a place like this, but not be part of that,
I'm pretty sure you can.
Yeah,
It's in the covenant of your deed. So if you're gonna buy in, you gotta be in that
Yeah.
covenant. Now you can choose not to participate. I mean, you can choose to
right?
don't show up for meetings, don't vote, don't actually have an active say, but you still gotta pay your, whatever the fee is.
HOA fee or
Right.
whatever it is. That's right.
And then, I mean, it depends on how you design this development. If it's gonna be transient, people are coming and going, the developer may just maintain control of it and manage it all and then not pass it off. We'll see. I don't know. For some reason, they don't want you to have swimming pools, tennis courts in this, common open space. I think they don't want it to be paved and like dug up, right? They want it to be as natural as possible. It could be a playground. I've seen playgrounds, I've seen pavilions, you know, with like picnic tables and grills and stuff there. So this is the application and procedure permitting, right? So this is the whole piece that we brought over from
This
the,
is what you brought in, 9 through 13, right?
yep, yep. So when we're doing a subdivision, you have to do a pre-application, you have to do a preliminary plan, and then you have to do a final plan.
I have a really stupid question probably,
Mhm.
but when you go back to the swimming pool, tennis court,
Mhm.
etc. And you said they don't want you doing it, you guys are the ones writing it, so if you wanted to do it. As an ordinance, then it could be allowed, correct?
Yeah, we could take out the whole section. If we wanted to.
I mean, I'm just saying that,
Well, I think
Yeah.
the intent of cluster housing originally was to not necessarily turn into a heavily developed piece of land. It was open space meant not a lot of pavement, not digging up pools. It was meant to be open space.
So it's a campground is live.
Right, right.
We can make that a question mark. We can come back and talk about this.
That's about, yeah, that's about right.
Well, I think the examples we looked at when we first looked at this were towns that had wetlands. Certain marshes, they had like. Certain species of birds that you couldn't disturb, right? So they wanted to keep that space preserved for the natural stuff. And if you put a pool in there, you're disturbing it, right? So. That is kind of the whole plan, whole idea behind it.
The tennis ball, we're looking for.
Wait,
Otherwise, just do a normal subdivision. Mhm.
it doesn't say you can't have it. It just says it won't be considered open space. Right?
Oh, right, it doesn't matter, anywhere else in the development you could put, but and when you're doing that calculation of this net space and
Yeah,
blah, 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 that open space.
and that's listed in that to be subtracted off in that net calc up above as well, right?
Right.
So if we took it out here, would need to take it out from above as well. Is that, there's a higher up in the.
Yep.
Yeah, where it's saying subtract
Yep,
this, subtract
yep,
this, subtract this, right?
Yep.
Right there.
Yeah. So when you're calculating your percent of like available space you can use for development, you can already subtract. Super sloped areas or wetlands, poorly drained soils, blah, blah, blah. If it's in a resource protection district, if it's used for stormwater management, that does not have to count into your net density. And there are, it says there are the soil survey maps, just to, I went to a AFCOG planning day meeting all day yesterday. And AFCOG is Androscoggin Valley Council of Governments. It's a regional planning group, and they're there to kind of help the towns. They have a lot of resources for helping individuals within our towns as well. Kennebec Valley has their own COG. There's several COGs around the state. But I went for ours. And there's some resources that we're gonna talk about when we get to the comp plan, but they have updated soil maps and stuff like that we can use too. So I have ordered us a set of updated, beginning with habitat maps, which we have a set over here, but they're like 6 or 7 years old. And they said, oh, we have new ones and they're free and we'll give them to your town.
Right.
Great, send us a set. So this is the new piece, right? The pre-application, the preliminary application. This is a direct cut and paste from the subdivision ordinance. I don't know that any cluster housing development would not also be a subdivision, because the whole idea of putting cluster houses, you're subdividing something. And to the point of, it could say development, if you're gonna hold on to all of them and just rent them. Right, if you're not gonna actually deed that lot over to somebody. And you're just gonna hold on to it, then it could just say cluster housing development without calling it a subdivision,
Okay,
perhaps,
something,
so.
on the one side.
Find your place,
I'm sorry,
find your place.
yeah.
Oh, so campground, you can live in. You know?
Yeah.
I'm almost took a shot.
Right.
I said almost.
Maybe we don't say that out loud.
We go camping to buy a campsite.
Right.
Okay, so preliminary plan tells you how long we have to review it, what we have to do is submit it, what information needs to come in that preliminary plan, blah, blah, blah. This is all identical to the subdivision ordinance. So then you get the preliminary plan, we give all that all shows up to the town, we have a certain amount of time to review it. So preliminary plan submissions containing all the information required, right? So we first review it for completeness. We determine if any information is missing. We give it back to them, they have so much time to fill in the gaps, and they give it back to us. I have to double check this, because I didn't check that piece. Those section numbers are probably changed, because they were from the other ordinance. You could add, the planning board could ask the subdivider to take on any studies that we think are necessary, like, hey, you need to check the stormwater runoff, or you need to do something else. We can decide that. Once the preliminary application is, so we examine it, we shall consider, we vote to approve, modify, or disapprove the preliminary map and preliminary information. Right, so then we send something back in writing to them saying, hey, we want you to change this, this, and this, or this piece of information is missing. They can then return the revised preliminary board to the planning board whenever they make all those adjustments. So once we determine that a preliminary plan is complete, the preliminary plan does not constitute approval of the final plan. It serves as the approval of the general design submitted in the preliminary plan as a guide to the final plan. So it may not have all the details. It may not have road names on it yet. It may not have other stuff that has to be in the final plan. But it's basically saying your design overall looks good, meets our requirements. Now go to the next level of final plan. So the final plan is the kind of drawings that would be submitted to the state office for the Oxford County Register of Deeds and stuff like that. Like once you have a plan, a subdivision plan that's final and approved by the town, that you have a year to file your plan with the Oxford County Register of Deeds. This now has to have final streets, ways, public or common areas, any monuments, like which are the corner markers, all that kind of stuff. All this has to get done. And the planning board, the CEO, and the select board all sign off on that final subdivision plan. So if you have sewer going in, all that's got to be approved by if you're not using municipal water and sewer, then the plumbing inspector has to sign off on your plan as well. Subdivision fees shall be set annually by the select board, shall be paid with the submission of the final plan. So we don't have any fees details in here. The subdivider has to know what the building codes are, the plumbing codes, DEP, all those kinds of things. It's not up to us to necessarily tell them what those standards are, but they have to say and provide proof that their plan complies with all these codes. So this was another question. I know there was performance bonds in the subdivision plan that right now that is here. And so this is, the performance bond basically says, hey, the developer had to submit a certain amount of money to the town, just in case, let's say you start moving dirt around, you start building a road, and halfway through your project tanks for some reason, and you don't complete it, and you've left this partially developed plot of land that looks like a mess, right? So the bond, could either, you can complete the roads, or, it's really designed to say you can't leave a partially finished roadway, like a big mud pit or something like that. So the bond there says the town could go in and pay to finish that roadway off if you started something and you don't complete it.
Those section references, right, to James?
Probably not. I'm sure it's not. I'll fix those. These are still, well, yeah, these are still good, because we just did this subdivision ordinance last year. So basically, once the project is moved to a certain state, they petition to get their bond back, the select board, the planning board chairman, I think the probably code enforcement officer says, we're all good. Get your bond back.
That's something new, that wasn't on the last time you talked about it, was it?
This is the section that we brought over from the subdivision ordinance. There was a bond at the end of that other one, but this has got a little bit more detail on what that bond is for.
It's kind of acting like the town should be a bond.
No, the town just holds on to the check. They're not the bonding company, a separate bonding company does that. Town benefits by having it's basically having the money in escrow in case something happens.
At the end, if nothing does happen, everything gets developed, then where does that money go?
Goes back to the
There's
developer.
accident.
They can petition for release of the bond at any time. Streets in the approved subdivision plan. You get to decide the names. There's a whole thing here on streets, but you can't name it. If we already have a Mill Street, they don't want another Mill Avenue and Mill Road or something. I think it's kind of fun. I think you get to plan good stuff. So these are all in the subdivision ordinances, subdivision standards. Get all these fonts the same, these are not the same fonts. Well, maybe they are. Okay, they still look like the same fonts. This was for the regular subdivision. You could only cut 30% of trees over 12 inches at breast height for interior road construction. They want to keep, if you're building a subdivision, they want to keep it wooded as much as possible. So these are all elements of the subdivision plan. Case of subdivisions intended primarily for industrial, commercial, or retail use, you have to have safe access, parking, adequate parking, et cetera, et cetera.
I have a question about number 7 then.
Yeah,
So if we're doing this and designating open spaces,
yep,
but now you've clear cutted half of every open,
yep, that's a good question.
So you can't do anything for 10 years,
right, you can cut it all down, but then you can't do anything.
then 10 years it'll be grown back.
Yeah,
Right.
Well, with a bunch of scrub trees, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, clear cut is pretty definitive, that's like taking
But
out the stubs.
Right, but because it
What's
says
the
clear cut,
That's that's the problem.
if a lot has been clear cut, I'm assuming.
Unless a reforestation plan is approved, right? So you could say, hey, we've cleared this out, we're putting all these roads and buildings, and here's where we're gonna put trees back in.
But it's already said in the bottom that you can't go. You can only do 30% of the trees over
Over 12 inches.
So you can't clear cut it anyways according to number 6
That's for interior road construction.
in all lots.
Yeah, well, so do we wanna leave those things in or take those out?
my personal opinion, it'd make more sense to leave 6 and take out 7. Cause if you're gonna clear cut it to develop, then you just tied your hands for 10 years.
If cluster housing is supposed to be to preserve natural stuff, you're not gonna clear cut it
Exactly.
anyways.
Right.
Do we need B?
So if you're putting in, well,
That's right, I'm saying, this is cluster housing that we're talking about, do we need that?
Yeah, you've always got 2 separate ones going on there.
well, this came out of the subdivision ordinance.
But.
So what if you had a, portion is cluster housing, another portion is like commercial where the first floor is retail and upstairs are apartments.
Well, we're not supposed to have 2 floors in our cluster housing development.
Not at all.
You can have 2 floors in your cluster housing.
I thought it wasn't supposed to be more than so many feet
I
high.
think it was 2 stories. I didn't want it to go 3. I think 3 was the cut. You can have
It was
2.
1 story in the basement, but
So I'll put this as a question
I
mark.
thought that too. I guess what?
yeah, and I got water. I think it's helping me though.
What's in that jug?
If it's anything good to share.
That sounds like mine.
Yeah, I was running late. I left mine sitting at home. I had coffee in it. Let me just look for a second. Height. I think we took out the height restriction last week. That's the only word height that's in there. Limited floors. Nope. Let's see. Nope. So I think in the last version, we took out the, that it couldn't be more than,
I think so.
it was 2 stories, but I think the thing was like, you couldn't have a 3rd story, and we're like, what if you're building on a hill and you have your garage in the bottom and then your first floor and your second floor? So,
Your basement, your living area and then your bedroom.
well, I think that it was designed originally, if you're gonna put houses close together, you don't want
You
them
don't want them
to be blocking all the views and the sun
Right.
face, daylight for somebody else.
Somebody's ready.
I was telling somebody that my very first, well, not my first apartment, but one of my first apartments was a condo, right? And you could hear people on the other side of the wall opening and closing their bureau doors. I was like,
That's my college.
that's right. The same.
Walls.
Um.
I used to live with her all night, listen to people looking for the ball on the stairs.
Yeah, this was a subdivision specific. This doesn't really apply to this, where a subdivision plan covers only a part of attractive land in a single ownership.
Yeah.
Planning board may require that as a planning, that's a subdivision thing.
Yeah.
Oh, you're all that too.
All right, so we could still have arterial neighborhood collector, neighborhood minor streets. I think we were keeping the same setback requirements, but I'll double check. Keep thinking it was 20, this is 30 feet from the road, 20 feet from any lot line. This is, I think those are all consistent. This did have this detail, came over from the subdivision order, the detail on the roads and the side slopes, blah, 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 blah. That was not in here originally. Just said basically meet all the subdivision requirements. So I think these were the same. This is where it stopped. So section 15 basically says, same thing as it always said. No section of this can be invalid based on any other ordinance. If there's a conflict, the more restrictive shall apply.
I have a question. Can you
Yep.
go up for a second? Roadways, a little more. Stop. Roads, shall be 26 feet wide with 6-foot shoulders.
That's a bunch.
That's huge.
It is.
That's like a grave.
Well, actually, this, we changed this many years ago in the, and was it in this development? It might have been in here. Yeah, so this is the one that came over from the subdivision ordinance. Yeah, I went, years ago, I went and measured all of our roads and roads in adjacent towns, because this is like a boulevard. This is
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
108.
Yeah.
You don't need, it said roadways, and I think we changed it in another ordinance to say roadways shall be adequate for fire and safety and school buses. And
Right.
any like large industrial trucks. Like, that's it, and then you can decide whatever's appropriate for that, and the fire department has to sign off on road widths, all that kind of stuff anyway. Do you wanna change that?
I don't think it needs to be that wide.
I'll figure out the right wording there, from another ordinance. Yeah, I was like, why do we have the road width? They kept saying that we have to have it, all of our town roads are that wide, and so I went out and actually physically measured them all and gave them a data table that showed how wide they actually were, and they changed it in another ordinance.
I don't know having that big of a shoulder on Stapleton Road.
Oh, sure you do.
Because I'm
Is
sure
that-
he knows you should hold it.
Is that before or after you go in the ditch?
Is that before or after the proposed ATV right away on that?
Does all this need to be in the cluster housing ordinance? That right away is huge too.
Yeah, it is. Maybe we just say roads shall meet prevailing standards and leave it open. Our attorneys will not like that.
Just make it one way.
No stop signs, only round and round to left.
I would think most of the roads that cluster houses would be like driveways, not necessarily road.
Well, if it's a road, it has to meet road standards,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, even if it's,
But you can't
even
have,
if it is one way and you have to go through the development all in a big circle, whatever, you have to allow for people to park on the side of the road safely, this, whatever.
well, you already said you can't have more than 4 driveways.
No, those are 4 roads from the main development onto a main road.
Yeah, they just have to merge into.
One driveway.
Right. All right, so let me we'll just double check these, how's that?
It's confusing putting stuff from the subdivision into cluster housing. They're not all gonna mesh.
That's why it's never moved around.
Well, that's our job.
Put
to
it
look at
together,
the-
copy paste, gives it, it's better than a blank piece of paper.
Sometimes.
As long as you're diligent and looking through all of it.
Well, because it doesn't, whatever we put in here, sometime in the next 5 years, it'll come back to bite you.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's good, it's valuable to have these discussions. I think it's super
Tell you,
valuable.
number 18 doesn't happen on any of the roads in Canton now. No living obstacles such as trees or shrubs should be within 6 feet. If I drive down Fair and Hill and I'm on the shoulder, the top of the truck is hitting the trees.
Yep.
They're trying.
We need to do something about ditching over there,
On,
Fair and Hill Road.
that was just this.
Yeah, they ditch it and then it's like the bottom is fully in, but they need to figure out a way to ditch. If you're driving up the road, the left side of the road.
Mhm.
Cause there's, and put some sort of culvert or something in. Rip right down the side,
They're washing this up.
it washes it out, yeah.
So,
So let's go, Tom.
so basically enforcement, it says the code enforcement officer can prevent you from occupying a building if it doesn't meet the standards, right? You already have to get occupancy permits if you're moving into a new structure anyway.
No, we don't.
No, you
We
don't.
don't?
No.
Oh, you're supposed to. I think that's in.
No, you don't.
ordinance.
No.
Okay. Well,
Unless we exceed 2,000.
4,000, you said.
I got confused, because it was 2,000, I've seen two different numbers, 2,000 and 4,000, but we don't exceed either, so.
okay. What, your palace is not 2,000 square feet? That palace?
Oh,
Oh.
it is bigger than that.
It looks like it, yeah. This was in the subdivision ordinance or either in the cluster housing, I can't remember where this was, I think these came from this particular ordinance. Where the planning board finds that extraordinary unnecessary hardships may result from the strict compliance with these standards, or where there are special circumstances of a particular plan, it can vary the standards so that substantial justice may be done and the public interest secure. Provided that such variations will not have the effect of nullifying the intent and purpose of the official map, the comp plan, or the zoning ordinance where such exists. So basically, this is giving the planning board the opportunity to grant variances. You can vary standard. If somebody objects to that, they can file an appeal.
Is it same part of the occupancy, right? Deal?
The same, the code enforcement officer can stop anyone from occupying or making use of any structure that is established in a manner contrary to the provisions of the ordinance. So we're giving the code enforcement officer permission to stop somebody from occupying a building. We want to
But
keep,
what types of things would a person have to do
Yeah.
for them to stop that?
you'd have to not meet the requirements that we just listed on the previous 16 pages.
Okay, time off. I'm sorry, because as it stands now, a building permit is issued, he goes on site, he, she, whoever it happens to be at the time, goes on site. Does all the measuring, make sure that everything is in compliance, and then they're done. They don't go back and check throughout the process. To make sure that,
So do we want them to be able to do that? Or do we just take it out?
we're gonna have to come up with a whole lot more money to pay him, I think, if you want him to do all of the stuff.
Well, this is just for cluster housing though, and that might be a good idea. You got 6 houses together and somebody doesn't comply with stuff. He might have to have that power, say, hey, this part's not right, fix that.
Well, one developer would be in charge of the whole thing, supposedly.
Unless one person owned all the land.
That'd be up to the landlord.
Question?
I just think for a part-time CEO for 6,000 a year, that's
Bit much.
But to your point, this is for private housing, not every.
yeah, right, no, I understand that, yeah, right.
Okay, sleep on it, things to think about.
Sleep on that.
Blah, 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 so you could amend it by a normal vote at town meeting, that's standard language. All right. Well, we are making headway. There had to be a permit application checklist for this too. Here we'll put the revisions. Take a look at the earlier ones. All right. Cool, progress. What else was on our agenda for today? There's something else. Oh, let me just introduce you, because you guys are brand new to the comprehensive fund. This is your little color chart. We're talking about it here, for everybody else to see. This is.
So are we in the orange box?
No, we're further than that.
Which color are we at?
We're up to the pink, those 2 pink things in the bottoms. So here,
Okay.
here's what I want to show. So this is a basic process.
Yep.
Anybody who's done business planning.
Yep.
Right, gets that. So I'm just gonna go through things underneath. So we have a comp plan from 2004, which I will get you a copy of. That's the existing plan under which we're currently operating. We determined needs updating, right, because you're supposed to do them every 10 years, it's now been 21 years, so it's time to update it. And there was a lot of comments that it needed to be more actionable and more visionary, right, because it was very data heavy driven, and it was like, yeah, the actions were like, plan this, come up with a strategy for this, right, it was very big and broad, and so nothing ever happened. So what's happened so far is, original committee was formed before COVID. And it was not the planning board, it was a subcommittee of the planning board. It was called the Comp Plan Committee. And they went through the old plan line by line and all the actions and strategies that were in the old plan and said, did this actually happen? Did we partially complete this thing, or did we not even touch it? So I'll find that assessment and give you that assessment of what happened in the past. We also went through and identified chapters that you want included in the plan. In a list here, I'll give you the old ones. So you could take. Here's the thick one, that's the comp plan. Oh, there it is. This is the existing one, you can take a look at that. And there's a printed document that went through and looked at every element of that and assessed, did we do anything against it or not? So I'll get you guys a copy of that. What?
I said, make sure they have water, it's dry.
It is dry. We also looked at example plans from other committees, other communities, and said, hey, we want ours to be more like these, right? We want them to be a little more visionary, a little more engaging, and have action plans that actually had some meaning. So we started collecting data, maps, and tools. So that's why that pink thing at the bottom of that number 2 is halfway done. It's actually a little more than halfway, but that's where we started. We also had community input. We had public meetings with some visioning. And we had a really interesting group of people that showed up at those meetings. We had a couple kids, we had people who don't normally show up at public things. So a good diverse input on what they wanted the town to be like in the future. So that visioning is done, and I can give you a kind of summary of that as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of numbers in here.
There
There's
is.
a lot of just data, right?
Right.
I'm
I
looking
think-
for like a mission statement.
Yeah. It's not in there.
It's more numbers.
It's in the new one.
Yeah, okay.
So we started collecting all that data to update some of that, right? And one of the things that the team that was working on it, the committee said was, instead of having all that data just by itself, let's put some bullet points at the top of each of those chapters that says basically key takeaways, right?
Yeah.
Here's 4 or 5 bullet points, because if you're not going to read the whole thing, you'll read the bullet points.
Yes.
So those are partially done. But it's been done, some of them are done 4 years ago and need to be updated again. The good news is that the AvCog Planning Day yesterday, I connected to the people from the beginning with Habitats, the AvCog person who supports comp planning, and somebody else, I've got her card, that does comp planning. And they said they can actually help write some of those chapters for us and update all those data.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Because we started with census data. And then you had to
Yeah.
learn how to manage the census information. And then the census information didn't match the state's information, even though they're supposed to be coming from the same source and all that kind of stuff.
Is there a charge to have them do that?
No,
We're members.
Yeah.
We're members.
Okay,
and even the beginning with Habitat people, they not only will update all your maps, but they will give you starting strategies, recommended strategies for your community based on what your wildlife patterns are and what your stuff is. I'm like,
That's nice.
I want that letter. So he said, I will start on your letter tomorrow. I'm like, great.
cool.
So what I'll have at the next meeting is a list of all those resources and how we're engaging them and getting stuff started. So we have to finish the red thing under number 2, so data maps and tools. And then we have to get a solid draft of the plan. At the next meeting, I can provide an example of some of the other towns and what we saw from there that we liked. And then I know we need more community input. Like, I think the draft needs to go to a broader community meeting and say,
Yeah.
not just these individual chapters, but some of the strategies that we're suggesting as a big,
What's Sharon inspired?
big picture item. We could do a survey. I have to think about what do we want to survey. But certainly if we have a date, if we have a draft, it may take us till the end of the year to get a draft that we think is usable with the public.
Mhm.
And where do we want that input?
Yeah.
And then once it gets to, a final version, and then it has to get reviewed, have to have a public hearing, has to be reviewed, has to go to a town meeting for acceptance. And then, of course, then the next piece is implementation and funding. And it was interesting to talk to a lot of people who have actually taken actions based off their comprehensive plan, which we've done some things, but not a lot of things that were in that plan. And I think some of it, we talked a lot, there's a new office in the state called MOCA, I didn't bring my notes, Office of Community Engagement, I forget what the M stands for, but, because people could go to AvCog, they could go to, individual agencies, they could go to, Community Development Block Grant people, the Department of Economic Community Development, the ECD, they could go to State Planning Office, they go to Maine Housing, and people were like getting floundering in all these different places to go. So they formed this MOCA group that is about community. Wasn't engagement, I forgot what the A stands for, but it was really a one-stop shop. You can come to them and they will help get you to the right people, which seemed like a good idea. But they are just getting off the ground. But we do have a contact there now, so that's helpful. But AvCogs felt like they had a ton of useful resources on all the stuff that we need to do. And I met with the state farming person because we want to put a chapter on agriculture into here, and we've had mixed information on what we want to put in there. They have great plans already drafted for that kind of stuff. Plus they have all the data on what's going on with the farmland. So they also seemed like a good resource.
Sounds like a productive meeting.
It was worth my $35, Tom, that I asked you if I could spend it and get
Yeah.
reimbursed. I never heard back from you.
You can't.
I
I'm
can't.
just kidding.
Okay. It was very, very much worth it.
I didn't respond back to that.
I didn't see it, but it could be, and the last 3 weeks, I've been getting so much spam. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And my personal bank account got hacked 2 weeks ago.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, I did close every account, open new accounts, change everything that I'm not all the way, I'm almost done, but not all the way done yet.
Yeah, my credit card was getting hacked about every 3 months last year.
Well, it was my debit card and I made a
don't give
mistake.
Anybody my debit card.
Well, yes, and I've now got RFID sleeves for all my cards. So like I was
I do too.
I was just at a big trade show and I don't know where they got it over the summer, but they did because and then it was horrible because they called me. We're from such and such a bank. Perky,
Yeah.
girl next door person on the phone. And we think we've detected fraud in your account. Can you check for us? I'm like, open up my account. Like, yes, I did not buy Grubhub in Texas. I did not buy sushi in Atlanta,
Yeah.
Georgia. These were not my charges. So we identified all these and they said all the right stuff. We're going to contest these charges. It'll be 2 to 3 days. They'll show back up in your account as credits, blah, blah, blah. And then there was a question about a password. And I made the mistake because they sent me the one-time password. And she didn't ask me to enter it anywhere. I forget what I did with the one-time password, but I somehow gave it to them. That was the mistake.
Yeah.
And I was in the middle of the day. I'm doing 6 other things. I'm
Yeah.
not paying attention.
Yeah.
He sounded very
Yeah.
perky and friendly. So I also changed my password on that account, and about an hour later, I went in to do something and I couldn't get in. So I called the bank and they're like, oh, we're blocking all your accounts because that was not us who called you. And I'm like,
Yeah.
they are so good.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
I know, because I'm the one who always
The
tells people,
RFID
don't.
sleeves are a good idea, because
Yeah.
I think I was getting hacked. Like a week after I went for doctor's appointments in Boston, we had to go every 6 months. And like a week later, I'd come back and I'd get a call from my bank. Yeah, we see suspicious activity on your credit card.
MX calls you all the time. Yeah.
And
they're
now
really
that I
good.
put it in an RFID and I don't use it while I'm in Boston, yeah, I haven't had
Yeah.
any problem. So I don't know, anecdotal, right? But I'm keeping those RFID things.
That's right. Well, I asked the
I
bank,
don't care about.
I asked the bank
chips.
for extras of those. Can you
You
give me some more of these
know?
things? And they did. But it's just been a pain in the ass.
No, I'm so sorry about
Anyway,
that, that's all.
So I feel like we're probably 75% of the way there with the data that we've got so far, even though it might need updating. I think some of that can be updated pretty
Yeah.
quickly. We've already got key takeaways on most of the chapters. So it feels like we're getting there. It's just not as fast as other people would like.
And this will end up in enabling us to go after grants and funding for things that we wanna do.
Correct. Correct. I think it also is a chance to help the town think about what
Where
is,
you wanna be.
well, and it's not just where you want to be, but what are some of the outside forces influencing the future of the town? Right? Like we still got, even though our particular population has grown, we're back to pre-buyout levels of population. We've got more kids than we've had for a long time. But overall, our population is still aging. Right, so as a town, we've still got mostly senior citizens, and you've got people on fixed income, and we keep
Yeah.
taking tax increases, you know, that's.
Yep.
That's, how do we create a different economic model for our town that's more viable for the future, right? And that's thinking about that big picture. And I don't think that we necessarily do that on a regular basis, because we can't, we're so busy dealing with all the other stuff. Right, it's not a fault, it's just the reality
It is
of
what
everyday
it
life.
is, right.
So this is a chance to put in some of that innovation and think about towns that have changed themselves to be more fiscally viable over time. How have they done it? And what have they done there? And how can we learn from what other people who are doing and making it work? So that we're not stuck always playing catch up and always being reactive, but we proactively manage the town for the future.
Yeah.
This is a chance to do that. So, oh, anything else on the agenda?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So what did you say about the building application variance? Yes, no, maybe?
We're waiting to hear from
So are you
the
gonna
abutter.
let Aaron know that in the morning, what?
Yep.
Okay. Cause he asked me.
You want to leave that on the table then?
Yes, let me stick a note on it before we leave it with him.
You're talking about the garage. Yeah, we had two things. Ask the abutter if it's okay, and he said it's a lot of, and get clarification on your own side. To make sure that's correct on the application.
Because we looked up the,
Wow.
we looked at the lot, it doesn't state the owner, the guy who signed it did not appear to be the owner, so. And Wendy said she would look in the morning when it's daylight and get back to us right away.
Right.
Okay,
I motion to adjourn.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor?
yeah. Oh.
No, I was sitting there, not wrong.
So next meeting is really an open. Town meeting to talk about the solar.
So I think he said he would come at 4, if it's still daylight
Yeah, yeah.
potentially, even though 3:30 today was pretty, 4:20, it was pretty dark.
Yeah.
But he will meet us at the spot for a site tour at 4. The
I'll bring
Public
my
hearing.
flashlight.
Yeah, the public hearing opens at 6, so we have that before we have our regular meeting.
So, good move, meetings have 5 members.